What's up, guys? Today we are going to be talking about a 1440p killer. It is a last gen graphic card released by AMD. It's called the RX 6800 XT. It has great price to performance and is priced at the right point with very good performance and can play 1440p and 4K. Now, if we talk about some of its specifications, it contains a GPU Navi 21. Cores, the shading units are 4608, and texture mapping units or TMUs are 288, and raster operation pipelines or ROPs are 128, and ray tracing acceleration cores are 72. Memory, or as termed as VRAM, is 16 GB of GDDR6. Memory interface is 256-bit, and the base clock is 1825 MHz or megahertz, and boost clock is up to 200, 2250 megahertz. Remember that all of these base clock and boost clock numbers are without any overclocking. If you go to the overclocking side, the numbers will be different. Now, if we talk about the power connectors, it's two wide pin, and the maximum power draw is 300 watt. And if you compare it to a 3080, it has 320 watts. So that's a plus point to the 6800 XT. Now, this display outputs one HDMI port 2.1, two display ports, and one USB Type C. Dimensions 267 millimeter by one multiplied by 120 millimeters multiplied by 50 millimeters. It's a dual slot design. Okay, PCI Express interface. It is a PCI 4x16, basically a 4 gen PCI lane. Okay, now the launch price when it was launched time ago, because it is now a last gen graphic card, because the 7000 series is out. At that time it was 649, but now in weight 649. It's really low. If you are looking forward to buying an 3080 or an 3070 Ti or a like a 4070 Super, etc, etc, don't buy that. Buy a 6800 XT, because at this time it has extreme price to performance. It is really cheap compared to the other pricings, and it is a 1440p and 4K killer, budget killer. Okay, so overall the RX 6800 XT is an high-end GPU based on the Navi 21 architecture, supporting DirectX 12 Ultimate. Now, the DirectX 12 Ultimate allows us to have the ultimate app support, ultimate game support, and app support, and software support. Like, it is going to run all the apps. No compatibility issues are going to come, and it is designed for hardware ray tracing, and it is designed for gaming at resolutions like 1920 multiplied by 1080p or 2560 multiplied by 1440, or if we go to the extreme 3840 multiplied by 2160. Okay, and if you have any further questions, or you need any further information, or you need like suggestions, or you need anything, or anything like pricing, or like specs, or my recommendations, my verdicts, you can just type it in the comments, and when I see it, I'll definitely reply to you. Okay, so now all of this, that's another thing. Now let's see the performance charts. Yes, let's see the performance charts. Now, power and temperature. Okay, Need for Speed Heat. Okay, that's the game we're going to be testing. Now now we are going to do some comparisons with all the other graphic cards. Now, a very tend to be budget killer, a very popular one, the RX 5700 XT. Okay, is a very good 1080p killer. Now, it reached a temperature of 85 degrees Celsius, with getting an FPS of 363. Okay, no. It's a power and temp. Sorry. That was my mistake. No. So don't confuse it. This is the orange one. You can see the legend over there. The orange one is the peak temperature, and the gray one is the system wattage. Okay. So remember that temperature lower is better, and wattage lower is better. Because more wattage draw may provide you with more performance, but it is going to result in overall heating. So yeah. Now, if you see this, the RX 5700 XT reached a total of 85 degrees Celsius at peak. This is the peak. And the peak system wattage, we are talking about the peak system wattage over here, was 363. Remember that lower is better. ठीक है? Okay? But remember that this is peak. So obviously, if you go like 6 hours or 7 hours of gaming sessions, which is way too much, then obviously this is going to change. Now, if we go down to the 2080 RTX 2080 FE, you're gonna see that the temperature dropped by 10 degrees Celsius and the power draw increased by 4 was. Now, the 3070 over here, the temperature increased by 1 degree Celsius and the wattage usage increased, actually increased by 6 watts. Now, with the RTX 2080S Super FE, we have the same temperature but with even more power draw. Okay, and now the RX 6800, 6800, not the XT version, the 6800. Now that got 395 watts of power draw at peak and 70 degrees Celsius was the temperature. Now remember, if the power draw is a lot but the temperature is low, no problem. Like if you have a low temperature and a high power draw, that's a good thing actually, because the one thing that the power draw does is that it increases the performance, but it comes at the price of heating. But if your GPU does not heat, then that's excellent, mate. Like you should be happy. Excellent. Then like good. Now then, if we go to the Radeon 7, it gives us a temperature of 60 degrees Celsius, which is even lower, and a power draw of 396. Now, the Radeon RX 6800 XT, the thing that we have been waiting for. Now, it has 459 watts of power draw. Now that's a lot. Like the other cards were in the 300, and these last two were the near 400s. But this is way above even the half point, like even above the half point of the 400s. But look at the temperature; it is 75. And if you see the RTX 2080 Super, it is 75 with a draw of 34. Remember, power draw, more power draw comes with more performance at the heating cost. But look at it. Both have 75 degrees Celsius peak. That means that like the RX 6800 XT is an edge that maintaining the same amount of temperature but having more power draw resulting into more performance. Okay, now we go to the RTX 2080 Ti. It has even more power draw, way more power draw, 470 with with the compromise of heat 84 degrees Celsius, mate. Like the highest before this was 85, the RX 57 XT, but this now with the GeForce RTX 2080 Ti is 84 degrees Celsius with a power draw of 470, even more than the RX 1600 XT. Now if we go to the 3080 FE, that has a power draw of 80 with 3 watts of more power draw. Okay, now so in my suggestions, like look at this, our 6800 XT with a lot of power draw. Like these three are in the 400 bracket. Now in the 400 bracket, it has the most lowest amount of peak temperature, as the 2080 Ti has 34 and 3080 has 80, it has 75. 75 is completely normal for a large and graphic card, or for a graphic card that you're gonna use for 3 to 4 hours. As I am telling you again, it is a peak temperature Celsius. Peak means that obviously if you're gonna play for 3 to 4 hours, the peak or the maximum it got. That's where that's okay. So the waters will also peak. So yeah, so this was the power and temperature gaming. So if you like prefer more wattage with less heat, the RX 6800 XT is your go choice. Like in my opinion, it is your go choice. Now enough of that, we will now proceed to another chart, another gaming chart, which will help us with some deeper understanding of what we should buy and what we should not. Okay, so now we will talk about different games, and the benchmark is in QHD definition. This is going to be uh, QHD. Okay, the gaming benchmarks, all the FPS are going to be in respect to that. Okay, so now Battlefield 5. We will respectively and collectively talk about every single graphic card. Okay, Battlefield 5. The RX 6900 XT got a total of 201.8 FPS if I'm not wrong, and the RX 6800 XT got 199.8. So yeah, it does not make a big difference. That's two FPS does not make a big difference, obviously. Now, now here's where the real difference comes. Buying the RX 6800 XT, that gives you 184. Okay, now, after that, another 4 FPS decrease with the RTX 3090. Okay, now it's 180. Now, with the RTX 3080 FE, you get the 169.2. Even now, that's a noticeable decrease. That's a very noticeable decrease. Now, the most noticeable decrease out of them all till now was the RTX 2080 Ti FE, as like from literally 169.2 is the 138.7. Okay, so that's a big one. Okay, so if you buy the RX 1600 XT, you will get 199, or let's say 200 FPS, compared to the 2080 Ti. If you compare it with that, you can see the pricing. You can just like relate it the pricing. Uh, you see that there's a big difference made. Like where's a 138, 139, or where's 200? So yeah. So if we move on to Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3. Now, Borderlands 3, the RX 6900 XT got 130. Now this is a difference between 800 and 900 in this game. Then 800 XT got 119 or 120 FPS, and now the RX 6800 falling even below the non-active version, 99.47 or 100 FPS. Okay, now the 3090 beating it, even though the last time it did not beat, it lost by 4 FPS. This time it is beating it with getting 113 FPS. Okay, now if we further talk about the RTX 3080, it is getting 99.92 FPS or 100 FPS, whatever you want to say it. Okay, near to the RX 800. Well, at this point, when it comes this close, you just gotta go with the pricing, mate. Yeah, pricing is your best brother at this point. Now, the in Borderlands 3, the RTX 2080 Ti, it got 76 or 77 FPS, which is the lowest out of them all. Notice that the RTX 2080 Ti gets the lowest amount of FPS in all of these in all of these games. As first of all, the VRAM is only 18 gigabytes, whereas the 16 actually offers 16 gigabytes, and the 3090 offers even more, and that's why it puts a big strain on the performance. Obviously, the 2080 Ti is not a thing that you should be buying in today's era. Definitely not. Definitely not. As these charts are from when the 6900 XT or the 6000 series launched, when the 3000 series launched. So at that time, the 2080 was the last gen graphic cards. And if the last gen best graphic card, or even not the best graphic card, can is going to be the lowest in the FPS, so low with some big differences. So you should never buy it. As if you go to the pricing, I don't think so. The RX 20 Ti in this era it should be bought unless you get a super good deal. Okay, now if we call about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Okay, that's a thing we should be talking about, as that is a game which is getting popularized day by day. As today Warzone 3 is out, and yeah, Warzone 4 will be no time now. So the quality of film. Remember, this is one, not the three or two, three. Okay, one. So obviously the graphics were less demanding and etc. etc. You just minus some FPS out of there, the 20 30 FPS, just on your rough like chart or rough like estimate. Now remember that these gaming benchmarks are in QHD definition resolution. Okay, remember that. Now, if we talk about Call of Duty, 161.2 FPS, we get with the 600 XT, with the 6800 XT. Now that's a big bump. For 146.7 with the RX 6800, we get 125.1, and the like RTX 90 beats the beats the RX 6800 and the RX 6900 XT, 6800 XT, not the 900 XT, 800 XT, and the 800. in the FPS in Call of Duty by getting 148.4. Okay, now if we talk about 3080 held its ground very strong, and it like beat the RX 800. So till now, my verdict would be that you should definitely not buy the RX 6800 whatsoever. Cause obviously the more popular games are Call of Duty and Forza Horizon 5, 4, 5, and etc. 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 So in my verdict, you should never buy the RX 800 XT 800. Sorry, if you have the money, and the RTX 2080 Ti. You should consider the RX 800 XT or the 6900 XT, depending on the games. In some specific games, you should definitely not buy the 6900 XT, as the difference is not that big. Okay, so in my verdict, it would be that you should buy the 1600 XT or the RTX 3090. Like these two options are really great, and if you have some specific games to play which create quite a bump between the FPS, like this Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you might as well just buy the 1600 XT. Or but if you want to go on an overall side, just buy the 1600 XT. And if you get a really dope deal with the 3090, you can just buy it. But my verdict would be the 6800 XT is overall at 1440p and 4K budget killer. Now, if we talk about the RTX 2080 Ti, again, it falls by so much. Like, bro, look at Raze 134 and 107, and it loses by a lot. Okay, now, if we talk about the RX 6900 XT, it gets 148 FPS, then 800 XT gets 138, so it's not that big of a difference. And then the RX 6800 falls by a lot, getting 117, and the RTX 3090 crushes by getting 147, and then the RTX 3080 held its ground better than the RX 6800 XT in this game by getting 144. Remember that in some games they were like optimization and blah 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 blah. And remember the game I'm talking about right now is the Division 2. The Division 2. In the Modern Warfare, the 6800 XT won, and the by the 3080, and the 3090 was just head to head 1 to 2 FPS difference with the 6800 XT. Now, if we talk about the our boy 3080 won by 1 to the 6800 and the XT version by getting 144, and it was just a little bit of a difference with the XT, but at the end of the day it won. Now, the RTX 2080 Ti got 109 FPS or 110, whatever you want to say that, but that means that overall till now the trend is of the RTX 2080 Ti is really low. Like, it is screaming that ain't no way you should buy me. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you find my video helpful. My verdict would be to get the RX 6800 XT, or if you want to go to the Nvidia side, just get the RTX 3090. Do not buy the 2080 Ti. Do not buy the 6900 XT until and unless you have a specific games to play according to the looking at the charts. And feel free to ask any questions in the comment section, as it will help me. And like and subscribe, and peace.